Beautiful spicy ladies, why he won't touch you. That ache when intimacy fades, when your partner's touch feels like a distant memory. It's heavy, and I've been there, grappling with that quiet longing in my own relationships. These 4 steps, pulled from my heart and years of coaching couples to rediscover closeness, are your guide to understanding why he's distant and how to revive the intimacy you crave. So, grab a tea, settle in, and let's talk like we're sharing truths over a warm coffee. Ready? Let's bring your love back to life. Number 1, see the silence. Why won't he touch you, leaving you with that quiet ache in a marriage where intimacy feels like a distant memory? A wife's story. I want to take you back to a time with Jake, a man who wandered into my life in my early 30s, when I was still learning to navigate the tender terrain of a shared life. We'd been married for a while, sweet nights curled up together, his warm presence a steady comfort. But the touch that once sparked our evenings faded, replaced by a silence that hung heavy between us. I'd ache, my heart racing. Is it me? Am I not enough? Spiraling into self-blame, convinced his distance was my failure. But one morning, after another night of unspoken longing, I stopped spiraling. I sat with that ache, looked beyond my fear, and asked, what's in his heart's quiet? That shift, that moment of seeing his silence for what it was, didn't just soothe my pain. It opened a path to intimacy, a connection rooted in understanding his heart instead of doubting mine. That morning with Jake, it's the spark of this first step, see the silence. This is about self-awareness, about pausing to understand the reasons behind his lack of touch rather than drowning in guilt or blame. And it's significant because that understanding builds empathy, laying the foundation for emotional intimacy that can begin to bridge the gap in a sexless marriage. In those days with Jake, our nights were sweet, his laughter, his closeness. But the touch faded and I'd spiral, questioning my worth, my allure. I'd think, it's me, blaming myself for his distance, ignoring the signs, his tense jaw, his distracted gaze, the weight he carried. That morning, though, I paused. I asked, what's his block? And saw it. Fear, not rejection, perhaps a worry about failing me, or stress from work pressing on his heart. That clarity wasn't a fix, but it was a start, a truth that his silence wasn't about my flaws but his own quiet struggles, and seeing that opened a door to connection, not despair. Let me weave this deeper with a story from someone I coached. Sarah, a woman who came to me at 38, when her marriage felt like a hollow echo devoid of touch. She and her husband were close, shared routines, kind words. But his physical distance left her lost, her longing for intimacy unmet. I'm not desirable, she'd say, her voice heavy with self-doubt, spiraling into blame each time he turned away. One night, after another evening of silence, she felt that ache grow sharp. Instead of spiraling, she paused. What's his block? And noticed his unease, the late work calls, the furrowed brow, the hesitancy in his eyes. She realized he wasn't rejecting her. He was wrestling with something inside. Maybe shame, maybe pressure. That shift, seeing his heart's quiet, steadied her. She told me later, I stopped blaming me, and we started talking. Her eyes bright with the truth that empathy didn't just ease her hurt, it built a bridge to him. This step, it's gentle but profound, a moment where you stop blaming and start seeing. You felt that ache, no touch, no warmth, just silence that feels like rejection. It's easy to internalize, to think you're the problem, but seeing the silence changes that. With Jake, I'd spiral. I'm too much, I'd think, ignoring his quiet clues, a sigh, a distant look. But asking, what's his block, showed me he was human, not cold. Sarah felt it too. I'd take it personal, she'd say, but seeing him freed me. It's self-awareness in motion. Ask, what's his heart holding? Stress, fear, shame. And let it guide you. For me, it was journaling. He's struggling, not gone. Raw and clear. For Sarah, it was that quiet night whispering, it's him, not us. Clarity fosters intimacy. Connection starts when you see his silence, not as a wall, but as a window to his heart. So, how do you make this yours? It's not hard, but it takes a breath. Pause when he pulls back, feel that ache, then ask, what's his block? Look for signs, his mood, his stress, his quiet. I started after Jake. Moments when I'd blame, I'd pause, name it. He's carrying something. I coached Emily, whose husband withdrew. She'd spiral, then saw, he's overwhelmed. He softened. Thanks for seeing me. That seeing, it's your strength, the root of intimacy he'll feel when you approach with empathy. You can't reconnect if you're lost in blame, but clarity sets the stage. But here's the twist, though. Seeing him isn't always easy. It stirs vulnerability, that voice whispering, "What if it's us? What if we're broken?" It's daunting, looking past your pain, but it solves that spiral where you blame, where distance grows. With Sarah, her seeing scared her. What if it's deeper? But it bonded them instead. What if seeing his silence means valuing your own heart too, though? What if your empathy needs your strength to shine? That's where we're headed next. Our next step, honoring your worth, where clarity meets confidence. If you are going through sexless marriage, and you don't know what to do, hit like if this resonated, I bless you, one day you will have your happy life back. Number 2, honor your worth. Can you hold your value, your inherent worth, steady in your heart when your marriage feels like a sexless void, refusing to let his lack of touch dim the light of who you are? I learned this one with Ryan, a man who entered my life in my mid-30s, when I was navigating the painful silence of a bedroom where intimacy had stalled. We'd been married for a while, cozy moments of togetherness, his gentle presence a soft anchor. But physical touch had vanished, his distance leaving me aching for connection. I'd shrink, my heart whispering, "I'm not enough," twisting myself to fit his silence. Don't ask, don't need. Afraid my worth depended on his affection. But one afternoon, after another day of feeling unseen, I'd had enough of shrinking. I stood tall, looked at my reflection, and said, "I'm enough." When I faced him, my presence steady, he didn't pull away. He saw me, his eyes soft. "I see you." And that shift didn't just ground me, it rekindled a connection I thought was lost. That afternoon with Ryan, it's the soul of this second step. Honor your worth. This is about personal growth, about recognizing your value as unshakable, even when his distance tempts you to doubt, and it's mind-bending because your worth doesn't just steady you. It anchors connection, inviting him to meet you in a space of mutual respect and intimacy. With Ryan, he was cozy. Those moments of closeness were tender, his presence a comfort, but intimacy stalled and I'd shrink, muting my desires. Don't seem needy, I'd think, believing my value hinged on his touch. I'd make excuses, he's just stressed, ignoring the ache of feeling invisible, my heart small. That day, though, I stopped. I stood. I'm enough. Not to change him, but to honor me, to affirm that my love, my presence mattered. When I carried that truth, his "I see you" wasn't just words. It was respect, a shift because I'd held my worth, and that clarity drew him closer, not further away. Let me weave this deeper with a story from someone I coached. Mia, a woman who came to me at 37, when her marriage felt like a desert, devoid of touch or warmth. Her husband was kind, shared routines, quiet nights, but his physical distance left her feeling like a ghost in her own home. She'd doubt herself. "I'm not desirable," she'd say, her voice heavy with resignation, shrinking to avoid seeming demanding. One session, I asked, "What if you held your worth?" She hesitated. "He'll think I'm too much," but she tried. She started affirming herself. "I deserve love." And lived it, choosing joy, setting boundaries, caring for her body and soul. When she faced him calm, "I need connection," he didn't retreat, he leaned in. "I want this." She told me later, "I stopped fading, and he saw me." Her eyes bright with the truth that her worth didn't push him away. It invited him to reconnect. This step, it's quiet but seismic, a shift that turns chasing into standing. You felt that pull to shrink when he won't touch, to think love means silencing your needs. But honoring your worth rewrites that. With Ryan, I'd fade. Don't ask, I'd think, until I'm enough rose up, clear and true. Mia felt it too. I'd disappear, she'd say, but standing changed us. It's personal growth in motion. You be steady, say, "I deserve intimacy." And trust grows because you're clear, not clinging. He doesn't feel pressured. He's drawn to a you that shines, a heart he respects because you do, and that's what softens his distance. So, how do you make this yours? It's not hard, but it takes courage. Feel that shrink, then stand. I'm enough, or I deserve love. I started after Ryan. Moments when I'd doubt, I'd affirm, I'm worthy. I coached Emily, whose husband withdrew. She'd shrink, then stood. I need us. He returned. I'm here. That worth, it's your anchor, a pull he feels. I've seen it with Sarah, her marriage cold she held. I'm enough. And he stayed. I see you. Emotional intimacy grows when you're steady. He's not filling a void. He's meeting a heart that knows its value, a you that's unshaken. Here's the catch, though. Worth isn't risk-free. It opens you to exposure, that fear of what if he doesn't see me. It's vulnerable, standing in a sexless space, but it fixes that chase where you fade, where you lose yourself. With Mia, her stand shook her. What if he drifts? But it held him instead. What if he needs to hear that worth to meet it, though? What if your strength needs a voice to spark his? That's where we're headed next. Our next step, speaking your truth, where your worth finds words to revive touch. Number 3, speak your truth. Can words, honest, heartfelt words spoken with courage, spark the touch that's faded in your marriage, turning the silence of a sexless bedroom into a pathway to closeness? I learned this one with Nate, a man who entered my life in my mid-30s, when I was grappling with the quiet void where our physical intimacy once thrived. We'd been married for a while, warm nights of shared laughter, his presence a steady comfort, but touch had dimmed, his distance leaving me longing for the connection we'd lost. I'd hint, "Are we okay? Or do you still want me?" Tossing out vague questions, hoping he'd bridge the gap, but I'd get nothing, just a shrug or "I'm fine," deepening my ache. One evening, though, I couldn't hint anymore. I sat with him, my heart steady, and said, "I need us close, I need intimacy again." My voice was calm but firm, no pleading, just truth, and he didn't pull away. He opened, his eyes soft. "I'm here." And that moment didn't just revive our spark, it wove us tighter, heart to heart. That evening with Nate, it's the core of this third step. Speak your truth. This is about trust and communication, about daring to voice your need for closeness with clarity and boldness when his distance stings. And it's relevant because truth doesn't just demand intimacy. It invites closeness, creating a space where a sexless marriage can begin to heal through mutual understanding. With Nate, he was warm. Those nights were tender, his charm a quiet pull. But touch dimmed, my needs buried under hints that went nowhere. I'd drop soft cues. "Can we be closer?" But they'd dissolve, my heart sinking with each missed connection. That night, though, I let go of hints. I spoke. "I need intimacy," not loud, not accusing, just real, like offering a piece of my soul. His "I'm here" wasn't just agreement. It was a bridge, built because my clarity gave him a path to meet me. It wasn't about forcing him. It was about trusting my voice to carry my truth, and that openness sparked a closeness we'd lost. Let me weave this deeper with a story from someone I coached. Sarah, a woman who came to me at 36, when her marriage felt like a cold, touchless routine. Her husband was kind, shared routines, gentle moments, but his physical distance left her aching, their intimacy stalled in silence. She'd hint, "You seem distant," and get vague nods, her longing growing with each unspoken need. "He'll figure it out," she'd say, her voice tight with hope, but she was tired of waiting. One night, after another evening of disconnection, she felt that ache sharpen. She didn't retreat, she sat with him, her voice steady. "I need you, I need us close again." No drama, just a clear, bold truth. He paused, then leaned in. "I want that too." She told me later. I stopped hinting, and he came back, her eyes wide with the realization that her words didn't push him away. They drew him into her heart. This step, it's simple but electric, a moment where your voice becomes a lifeline, cutting through the silence of a sexless marriage. You've learned that hints, those subtle nudges, don't spark touch, they drift, leaving you unseen. With Nate, my hints were like whispers in the wind, lost, ignored, until "I need us close" stood firm, a light he couldn't miss. Sarah felt it too. "I'd skirt around," she'd say, "but I need you" changed us. It's trust and communication in motion. You speak. "I need intimacy," bold but calm, and intimacy grows because you're clear, not hidden. He doesn't hear a fight, he hears your heart, steady and true, and that's what pulls him to meet you, not retreat. So, how do you make this yours? It's not easy, but it's straightforward. Feel your longing, then speak. "I need us close," or "I need your touch." I started after Nate, moments when I'd hold back, I'd pause, then say, "I need intimacy." I coached Emily, whose marriage dimmed, she'd hint, then spoke, "I need closeness." He'd nod, "I'm here." That truth, it's your strength, a call he feels. I've seen it with Lisa, her husband distant, she said, "I need you," and he stayed, "I'm trying." Emotional intimacy grows when you're bold. He's not dodging a demand. He's drawn to a heart that's open, a you that dares to need. But here's the wonder, though. Truth isn't always steady. It can tremble, stirring fear. What if he pulls further? It's vulnerable, voicing your heart's need, but it solves that silence where you drift, where touch stays absent. With Sarah, her words scared her. What if he shuts down? But they opened him instead. What if your truth needs nurturing to last, though? What if your boldness needs a rhythm to keep you close? That's where we're headed next. Our last step, nurturing the bond, where your truth weaves a connection that endures. Number 4, nurture the bond? Can you weave a lasting closeness that not only softens the distance in a sexless marriage, but deepens the touch and intimacy you share, creating a bond that thrives through life's challenges? I learned this one with James, a man who entered my life in my late 30s, when I was learning to build a love that didn't just spark but endured. We'd seen his silence, honored my worth, and spoken truths, rekindling a connection that felt alive and mutual. But I knew that closeness could fade without care. So one quiet morning, over a shared pot of coffee, I looked at him and asked, "Still us? Are we keeping this heart close?" It wasn't a question of doubt, just a gentle check-in to stay woven together. He smiled, his eyes warm. "Yeah, we're us." And with every nudge, every moment of tending, we didn't just hold our intimacy. We thrived, crafting a bond that grew richer because we chose to nurture it. That morning with James, it's the heartbeat of this fourth step: nurture the bond. This is about trust and process, about believing that intimacy isn't a one-time fix, but a living connection you cultivate over time. And it's relevant because reviving touch in a sexless marriage isn't about fleeting moments. It's about fostering a relationship that deepens through intention and presence. With James, our early steps, clear words, bold truths, were powerful, but passion dims without care. I'd check in. "What's ours?" over dinner, or "Where's our heart?" during a late-night talk. Not to press, but to keep our connection vibrant. He'd lean in. "I love this us." And those moments weren't dramatic. They were threads, small but strong, weaving trust, touch, a bond that held because we kept showing up. It wasn't about forcing intimacy. It was about tending, choosing to keep our love alive, a dance we both stepped into. Let me weave this deeper with a story from someone I coached. Mia, a woman who came to me at 39, when her marriage felt like a fragile thread, touch a distant memory. Her husband was loving, shared routines, kind words. But their physical connection wavered, the silence of their bedroom a heavy weight. They'd seen his distance, honored her worth, and spoken truths, but time passed, and their closeness felt delicate. "It's slipping," she'd say, her voice heavy with fear that their touch wouldn't last. I asked, "What if you nurtured it?" She sighed. "He'll think I'm pushing," but she tried. She'd nudge, soft and warm. "Are we close? Over tea or still our heart?" On a quiet night. He'd pause, then stay. "Yes, you're my home." Over time, he'd share. "I pull back when I'm stressed, but I'm here." And their bond grew, not from one talk but from her tending it. She told me, "I stopped waiting for it to hold. I built it," her eyes shining with the truth that intimacy thrives in the nurture, not the hope. This step, it's gentle but profound, a rhythm that turns fleeting touch into lasting connection. You know, intimacy isn't a race. It's a dance, a shared effort you both choose. With James, I'd nudge, "Where's our heart?" And he'd share, "Right here," his voice warm, and we'd deepen, not drift. Mia felt it too. "I'd hope he'd lead," she'd say, but nurturing held us. It's trust in process. You keep it alive. "How's our US?" And rest in growth, not rushing but fostering. Communication thrives in this dance. He doesn't feel cornered. He stays for the bond, the us you're crafting together, moment by moment. So, how do you make this yours? It's not complex, but it takes intention. After your truth, don't let it fade. Check in, gentle and real. "Still us, or where's our heart?" I started after James. Moments when I'd sense drift, I'd ask, "Are we close?" And we'd talk easy and true. I coached Emily, whose touch dimmed, she'd nudge. "Still our bond?" Over breakfast, and he'd open, always. That nurturing, it's intimacy growing, a pull he feels. I've seen it with Sarah, her marriage wavering, she'd say, "Still our US?" And he'd stay, "Yes." Emotional intimacy deepens in the weave. He's not dragged. He's drawn to a connection that's alive, a dance you both step into. Here's the beauty, though. This nurture isn't just maintenance. It heals distance, those moments when silence creeps back or life dulls your touch. With Mia, her nudges didn't just hold them. They grew them, a bond that warmed their love. It's the thread of all four steps, seeing the silence, honoring your worth, speaking your truth, and now this, a tapestry of intimacy that keeps you close. Let's wrap it up with a final thought, a bow on this journey we've shared. So there's your 4. See the silence, honor your worth, speak your truth, nurture the bond. I met a couple once, 25 years, still touching. "We keep choosing us," they said. Reflect. What's your next step? Start small, love deep. Thanks for being here. Hit like if this resonated. It spreads the love. Subscribe if you're in and comment. What's your intimacy struggle? I'll read every one. Stay true to yourself. To all the spicy ladies make life beautiful, see you in our next video.